Hey, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something pretty wild, a totally new way to think about that 3-pound universe sitting inside your skull. I want you to try and forget everything you think you know about the brain being like a biological computer. We're going to explore a model that sees it as something way more dynamic, more physical, and, well, more like a fluid.
So let's just start with this one big question to get our heads in the right space. What if the whole metaphor we've been using for the brain, all the circuitry and the code, is just wrong? What if it's less like a computer processing data and a lot more like a river with powerful currents, little eddies, and huge waves of energy?
And that is the core idea behind this really fascinating framework called the kinematic model. It completely shifts the focus away from the tiny individual parts, like the neurons, and onto the movement and the energy that flows through the whole system. It's a brand new lens for understanding everything from how we think to why we sleep. So let's get into it.
All right, so the first big shift we have to make in our thinking is to stop picturing single neurons firing like little tiny sparks. The kinematic model says, hey, zoom out. We need to see the brain's engine for what it is, a system that's defined by massive, large-scale flows of energy. Okay, so here's the more official definition. Kinematics basically looks at the brain as a physical thing made up of actual layers. And the real action, the important stuff, isn't just one cell firing. It's the flow of what scientists call free energy, which is just the usable energy in the system. And this energy travels in these organized, synchronized packets along very specific pathways. And get this flow isn't just a side effect of brain activity, it's what actually shapes the brain's structure and how it works. So this is really the metaphor to hold on to. The old view is all about the little sparks, the single neurons firing. But this new kinematic view, it's all about the waves, the huge, synchronized packets of energy moving through the brain. It's a complete and total change in scale.
Okay, so if the brain is all about this flow of energy, you're probably wondering, how does that actually work? I mean, how is this energy directed? What's it even made of? Well, according to this model, it's a surprisingly complex and elegant system. And we're not just talking about one kind of energy here. The model says that there are these physical things it calls firing dates. You can think of them like tiny microscopic switches that control the flow. And changes in these gates can alter the pathways for chemical energy, electrical energy, and even magnetic energy. It's a multi-layered energy system. Now, this isn't just some chaotic flood of energy washing around. No way. These synchronized firings actually create a very structured hierarchy. It all starts with these tiny microscopic eddies, almost like little whirlpools of energy, and those then get organized into bigger, macroscopic energy packets. It's how order literally emerges from a system that seems chaotic. So here is where this theory really connects with our day-to-day lives. You ever wonder why a day of just sitting and focusing, really intense thinking, can leave you feeling just as wiped out as a physical workout? Well, this model has a very physical explanation for that feeling. And this just lays it out perfectly. On the left, in a healthy, rested state, the brain's layers are humming along with these steady oscillations. It's super efficient, like a perfectly tuned engine. But on the right, under strain, it goes into this non-linear state. That's where the effort and the energy cost just shoot through the roof. And this degrades the actual physical elasticity of the brain's layers. I mean, think about stretching a rubber band too far, over and over again. That's what intense thinking is literally doing to the physical tissue of your brain. So just being awake, thinking, processing the world, it's a constant process of accumulating this physical strain. Hour by hour, the elasticity of our brain's physical structure is literally getting worn down. Which, of course, brings us to the most important question of all: how do we fix it? And the answer, according to the kinematic model, is sleep. But not just sleep as a passive timeout. No, in this view, sleep is an active, mechanical process. It's all about physical regeneration. It's the brain's own nightly repair cycle. So let's walk through how this works every single night. First, all day long, our waking hours build up that strain. Second, that strain degrades the brain's physical elasticity. Then, when we finally fall asleep, the brain kicks off this regeneration process. And here's the most critical step. All that pent-up, confined energy from the day's strain finally gets released. And that release is what allows the brain to recover and get its normal properties back. But it also does something else pretty incredible for our memories. And that's the real kicker right here, straight from the source. That big release of confined energy is the very thing that consolidates our memories and our emotions. So sleep, in this model, isn't just about taking out the trash or letting neurons rest.
It's a physical process that repairs the brain's elasticity and cements our experiences into who we are. So let's zoom back out for a second and look at the big picture. This isn't just a small adjustment to the theories we already have. This is a fundamentally different map for understanding what the source calls a chaotic fractal mind.
Okay, let's put these last few pieces of the puzzle together. First, the brain is seen as a chaotic medium. And that doesn't mean messy, it means it's a complex system where small things can have big effects. Second, the energy flows in fractal patterns, which just means you see the same kinds of patterns repeating at different scales, from the microscopic to the macroscopic. Third, the pathways for this energy are shaped by what are called attractors. You can think of them like grooves or preferred states that the energy naturally wants to settle into. And finally, the whole show is governed by the viscoelastic properties of the brain tissue itself, how it can both flow like a thick liquid and stretch like a solid. It's a model that's truly grounded in physics.
And this table just brings it all home. I mean, look at the difference here. Memory? Traditional neuroscience says it's stored in synapses. The kinematic model says it's consolidated by releasing energy when you sleep. The whole purpose of sleep? One says it's for waste clearance. The other says it's for physical regeneration. And then there's the big one, consciousness. It's not just some vague emergent property of a network. It's the direct result of these massive, synchronized flows of energy.
So at the end of the day, the argument is that the kinematic model offers a much more complete and comprehensive framework, one that's deeply grounded in the actual physical reality of the brain. It ties together sleep, memory, and consciousness through the real-world mechanics of energy, force, and flow. And that leaves us with one last, massive question to think about. If this model is onto something, if the very structure of our mind is being shaped moment to moment by the flow of energy through it, what does that mean for everything else? How does that change how we think about learning, or mental health, or even the very nature of thought itself? It's a profound idea, and it might just change how we see that river of energy flowing inside all of us. Thanks for joining me.